Hello, Ernie.
Hi.
Miss Müde?
Müde, ja.
Any news from Gerard?
I think he's doing a little bit better.
Okay.
Ron Hayom at Aleph.
I just had your chavruta over here,
Which chavruta?
Shimon Stone.
Oh, okay.
Mazel tov then, Walter. You must have gotten a new
For the
car.
wedding. Huh?
You must have gotten a new car.
I know I didn't get a new car. He likes the whiskey I have in my house. In case you want to know, you could also get, I know you like tequila, but he likes the whiskey. It's okay. It's not a new car.
It's a long way to come for a shot of whiskey. You must like the company.
No, he came for Rabbi Lieberhar's wedding.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, that was last night.
Yeah.
So interesting because it was the nusach is all Moroccan. The ksuba is so fascinating. It's like being in a different country.
Yeah, but he's very happy in Florida. He said it's fantastic. He goes to this minyan by Safra's minyan with all this fire. He said it's amazing. He said this Miami where he lives in Aventura is just an amazing place. I mean, you can buy stuff there for $350-$400 a square foot compared to here for $1,100 square dollars a square foot. It's just crazy.
Yeah, but you have to live there.
He seems to be very happy. He said he doesn't mind the hot weather. He doesn't mind the rain. It's okay.
Okay.
Obviously, he doesn't have too many homeless people over there. Okay.
Ron Hayom at Aleph. Umisaknin es kilkuli amayim shebershut sarab. On Chol Hamoed, you can fix the public water mains. Chatita in means you could do roto-rooter, but chafira to dig a new one low. That's if the public doesn't need it. The public needs it, you're allowed to dig an irrigation ditch, even lechatchila. When the public needs it, it's permitted. You can roto-rooter sewage or water cisterns of a private individual. Certainly of public. You may not dig lechatchila on Chol Moed a water cistern or a water trench, even for the public. And and my love, the Gemara is assuming b'sherabim tzrichilem that we're talking about the public needs it. The Gemara says lo b'shein rabim tzrichilem. It doesn't allow it in a case where the rabbin does need it. So the kavose gabe yachid shein yachid tzarich lehem. And therefore, the cases are going to be the same for yachid and rabbim. So it's going to be a case where the yachid doesn't need it. So the Gemara says, Chatita Mishari. Who says that you even could do a roto-rooter for a yachid if he doesn't need it? Batanya. A water cistern of a private individual, you're allowed to pour water in it. You may not do a roto-rooter. You don't smooth out their cracks. If it's of a public, you're allowed to do a roto-rooter and fix the cracks. So how can you tell me we're talking about a case where the yochid doesn't need it and the rabbin doesn't need it? We wouldn't allow chatita. So elamai b'shiyachid tzarech lehem. So we're back to the assumption that we're talking about when the yochid needs it, and the kavose gabi rabbim. And it's got to be the same case. The rabbim needed b'sherabim tzich lehem. So chafir miyasir. So we're not going to find that digging lechatchila is going to be prohibited. Vatanya borshich l'marshal yachid. Private boirois water cisterns of a private individual, coins and mine, you can pour water in them. You can do a roto-rooter. You don't smooth out the cracks. You don't throw the roto-rooter stuff inside. You don't use lime to make it waterproof. Bishel rabim, you're allowed to dig it. So this brisa is clearly a contradictory brisa that said you were not allowed to do chafira. Tritzachi. So you explain like this. You could do a roto-rooter of a bore of a private individual, when the yachid needs it, and certainly when the rabbim needs it. There, you're allowed to dig it. If the rabbin doesn't need it, you don't do chafira. And certainly when a private person doesn't need it, you're not allowed to do a roto-rooter either. We can deduce from our Mishnah the same approach. Diktani. The Mishnah said, "Oisin kol tzorchei rabbi." You can do anything for the rabbi. Kol lasuyamai. What does kol come to include? Lav lasui chafira. It must come to include digging. Or says lo lasui hadatanya. It comes to include something else. Yoitzin lakavis esadrachim. Bezdin kangwara chol moed to remove thorns from the roads. Ulesakin is our choives v'sastrotos, and to fix the plazas and the large spaces where people gather. The lomodas mikvos, to measure the mikvos. If the mikvah is less than 40 so, you fill it. Uminayim shem lo yatzu v'asu kolelu, if they didn't go out and these things were damaged, shekol damim shenishpachu shamala l'makos l'kileim mishvachu. It's as if Bezdin owes this money. Talmud Lamer v'ayalach adami. Freiti Gemara habadei ktani la. It says directly, u'misaktin es adrachim. That's our choives v'samikvois. For oisin kol tzarchei rabim. So what's the oisin kol tzarchei rabim? Lasui yamayv, lav lasui chafira. It's certainly coming to include digging. Shema mina that you can do medag from the Mishnah, the same thing that we were medag before. Then the Mishnah said, mitzainin es akvoros. We designate with lime where on Chol Hamoed, where a grave is, so that people wouldn't walk over the grave. Where do we see a remez that you should mark a kever min Torah? Talmud Loimar, v'ra etzem adam. If you see the bone of a body, uvana etzlo tzion, build a tzion next to it. Pasuk in Yecheskel. So who said it before Yecheskel? Uncircumcised male should not offer korbanos. Now this was not said in the Torah; it was only said in Yecheskel. Who said this before Yecheskel? El Gemar Gemira law. Yecheskel reminded us with a pasuk. Ochanami that Sion by Kvarim Gemar Gemira law vas Yecheskel vas machakra. Ravo Amar Mehacha. You don't have to come to.
Ernie, doesn't it say by a Korban Pesach that an oral is not allowed?
Yes, but that's not necessarily for all korbanos. And that's, you cannot partake in the Korban Pesach. But the din that a Kohen is also to work in the Beis HaMikdash is learned from this pasuk. An Orel cannot eat the Korban Pesach. Right? If you cannot be mishtatef with the Chabura that's eating the Korban Pesach. So, Rav Avo Amar Meyachav, Tamei Tamei Yikra. That means the Tamei will call out, Tuma Korolov, Omeres Lo Prosh. It's as if the Tuma is calling out to the public, stay away from me. V'chenam Rav Uziel Bar Breid Rav Uziel Rabba, Tuma Korolov, Omeres Prosh. Frag the Gemara of Allah Yudasa, is Tamei Tamei Yikra for that? Hahuma Boy Lech L'Tanya, but Tamei Tamei Yikra, Tzarech Lo Yidiyat Tzar L'Rabim. You have to inform the Rabbim that he's a Mitzorah. The Rabbim Mavakshim, Alav Rachmim. So people will daven for him, so he'll heal. So how can you tell me it's teach me the din of Tziyun? Imke lichto v'tomei yikra. My v'tomei yikra. Shmami no tarti, I learned both dinim. Abai Omer Me'ochav, v'lifnei ivir lo sitei michshol. If you have a grave and it's unmarked, you're violating lifnei ivir, somebody else is going to become tummy. Rav Papa Amar v'Amar solu panu derech means mark the drachim. Rav Chino Amar harimu michshol miderechami, remove an obstacle from the roads of our people. Rabbi Shimon ben Ravidi Amar v'hodata layamas haderech asher yelchuva. You shall know the drachim. Mazut Amar v'izartem es bnei Yisrael metumasam. You should be warned from the tumah. Rav Ashi Amar ushmartem es mishmartai. At Mishmarti, Asu Mishmeres Mishmarti, make guards for my guards. So the putting a mark is Mishmeres Mishmarti. Ravina Amar Vesam Derech Arena B'Yesh Elokim. Arishim and Levi call Hasham or Chosav, whoever estimates, calculates carefully his drachim. Zoch of the Rabbi Shuas Shakadosh Baruch Hu. He will eventually be redeemed. Shenamar Vesam Derech. Altikra v'sam ela v'sham, to evaluate, to estimate. Arena b'yesh elokim. Rav Yani Avaleyahu Talmid l'chol yom hava makshilei b'shabta derigla l'hava makshilei. Rav Yani had a student who would ask him tough questions every day. But on the Shabbos, in Yom Tov, when he darshan, he didn't ask him questions. He didn't want to confuse him. Kori alei v'sham derech haren b'yesh Elokim. Somebody who's careful and thinks out when he's going to ask questions. When he's not going to ask questions, that's going to lead to Yeshuos. Ton Rabbana. Aim at sign in law al kazayis ben ames. You don't make a mark if it's only a kazayis. The law lets him or the bean, the bone, the size of a barley. The law dover shenim etame ba'oel. A tumah that doesn't have enough tumah to be etame ba'oel, you don't have to make a tziyun over. Avul mitzayin al shedra, spinal column, there is tumah soya. Ve'al gulgolus, a skull. Al rov binyan v'al rov minyan ames. The majority of his bulk or the majority of his bones of the dead person. Ve'ein mitzayin al avados. If we know for sure that there's tumah there, we don't make it siyun. Avul mitzayin al asfekus. When we're unsure, then we make it siyun. Elu en asfekus. Chachos proyos beis apras. Gemara will explain what these are. Ve'ein mamidin sim makom tumah. We don't look at tziyun right there because otherwise people will walk there and be matame things they're carrying. So you move it a little way, but in machikin tziyun you don't make it too far away. Otherwise, you're going to render unusable much of the land of Eretz Yisrael. Are you not metame ba'oil by kazayas? Vatman. These are among the things that are metamim ba'oil. Kazayis v'nameis. We're talking about an exact kazayis. So there, we assume that there's going to be some degradation. So down the road, it's going to be less than kazayis, and therefore, if we mark it and people stay away from there, you're being mafsid Eretz Yisrael. The sof smecher chaser mutav yisuf alav truma v'kachim lefi shah. Better that we burn truma and kachim temporarily, v'yusuf alav lo'elam, and not necessarily burn it forever by marking it and thinking that there's tumah underneath there, because eventually it's going to get degraded. The Elohim asfekus. Schachos supros. What's this? Schachos ilan amesach la'arim. You have a tree whose branches are hanging over the ground. There might be a kever there. Therefore, anything underneath the tree would become tummy. Pros. Avonim prusa yotis benageru. You have a wall. Some of the stones are sticking out of the wall. There might be a tomb underneath there. Then anything underneath those stones that are sticking out will become tummy. Beisa pras. What's a beisa pras? Kiritnan. Achoresh is a kever. You have a field. In the field was a grave, and you plowed it over. Hareu oisa beisa pras. That field is called a beisa pras. The kamahu oisa malo ma'ano mea amo. The length of 100 amas. A field like that is not metame ba'oil. You can get on your knees. You can blow in front of you. We assume that the plow has made the bones into a tiny dust, and you can blow it. And as you blow, it's like a minesweeper. You're megala the area where there might be a real bone. And you'll see it, so you'll stay away from it. So we're not worried about tumas oil. In fact, Rav Yehuda bar Ami Mishmei Ulam are beis lapras shenidish tor. A beis lapras that people walked through already, and they sort of walked with their feet. It's tor because they moved the bones around, and it's not metame ba'oil. Amar Pava loy kasha. Depends. Kan besoda she'ovid bo kever. Kan besoda she'nechrosh bo kever. Depends if we know somewhere in that field was a kever. We just don't know where it is. So in that case, there's tumas oil. Where they permitted to blow, that's a field that was plowed under. We weren't even sure that there were bones there or any kind of mace. So it's like a sfeik. And there's a third kind of base, a step boichin. My step boichin. Like there was a field where when people transferred corpses to be buried, this was a way station where they would put the body first, and then they would go wherever they were going to bury. People were, the concern was a limb would fall off of a mace. Time of my Amravim Mishum Yesh Biden Dagger. Maybe because of carrying the mace through a far distance, one of the limbs fell off in that field. People didn't pay attention. There was Yeush. And maybe in this field, there's a lot of mason or pieces of mason in many places. So the Sadish Nechrosh Bakever Lo Boit Siyun. So we said that if you have a field that was plowed under, it doesn't require a mark. Vatanya, Matzah Sada Mitzuyena. So you found a field marked. Ve'en you do a mativa. You're not sure why it was marked. So we learn like this. Yeshbo ilonois. If there were trees in the field, this is a besa pras where there was plowing that went on. Ein bo ilonois. Now, if this is a lost kever, so nobody would have planted trees there. So if there's no trees, we know it's an avad bakever. You need to ask a zaken, and maybe the field was not plowed. So it seems that a field that was plowed needs a tziyun. We're not talking about a nechrosh bakever. We're talking about it was lost. But like we said, maybe the trees are on the outside and the kever is on the inside. We're talking about the trees are on the road, on the side of the road, near the Rishus Harabim. There's not going to be any kever outside in the middle of the Rishus Harabim. It's going to be with the trees. Same thing. Okay. Tomorrow, 7:30, Daf, and 8 o'clock, the Turba.
Shkoyach, Ernie. Beautiful.
Shkoyach.
Did anybody